This weekend marks the 25th anniversary of Hurricane Hugo. The Charleston area took a direct hit from the Category 4 storm with winds of up to 135 miles per hour and record storm tides of up to 20 feet. And it really was still packing a punch when it reached the Charlotte area.
It sure was. And as Chief Meteorologist Panovich explains now, Charlotte's trees suffered a lot of damage.
Charlotte is proud to be a Tree City, USA for 34 years straight now. We've also been voted one of the 10 best urban forests in all of the U.S. We love our trees. We are proud of our trees, and they are what makes Charlotte, well, Charlotte. But back in September 1989, the pride of Charlotte came under assault from Hurricane Hugo. The trees which had made us a tree city were now responsible for causing widespread damage as they fell left and right.
Which roads were blocked, and how they never would have guessed this would have happened to Charlotte.
When I heard Category 4, never hit Charlotte. Listen, next time I know better.
But
Patrick George has lived in Charlotte his entire life, and he just so happens to be a Charlotte tree expert as the founder and owner of Heartwood Tree Service. He says Hugo was unlike anything he had ever seen.
Yeah, trees falling, limbs falling, the ground got soaked, so the roots couldn't hold that well. And unlike you see in your physical science books, these trees in this area don't have deep roots. They're more like a floor lamp. It's a root plate, as we refer to it. So when they get loose, they just tip over. And then you have them pushed by that wind at the same time, and they were killer. They were absolutely killer. I saw houses that were absolutely cut in half. The trees went till they hit the ground. They didn't. The house didn't stop them. No, I didn't see a lot of damage from wind. Honestly, you know, it was mainly the trees.
He worked hard, and that phone never stopped.
But we'd empty a 100-message machine, and it would fill up within 7 minutes. It was 7 weeks before I took a day off, and we did Hugo-influenced work for at least a year.
The canopy took a beating. Since 1985, the canopy has gone from 55% all the way back down to 45%.
If you lived off the coast in the Carolinas, you really didn't take hurricanes very seriously. That was up until Hurricane Hugo hit 25 years ago this week. When you look at the coast of the Carolinas, take a look at how far away Charlotte is from the coast. In some locations, 100 to 200 miles away from the coast. So how did this happen? Well, there were a couple unique things that happened within this particular hurricane. But in all hurricanes, a thing to remember, the winds actually get stronger the higher up you go into a storm. So down at the water surface, the winds may be 130 or 40 miles an hour. But as you go up in elevation or altitude in the storm, the winds actually get stronger. The other factor to take into account is which part of the storm impacted the Charlotte area. Which quadrant is worse? If you split a hurricane up into 4 quadrants, the northeast quadrant is the one that causes the most wind damage. That's where the winds are strongest. So if you have winds of 120 miles an hour, but the storm is moving at 30 miles an hour, winds could be even higher in that northeast quadrant. So as the hurricane moved across the entire Atlantic, it got close to the Carolinas. A couple factors helped speed it up. High pressure to the north, low pressure to the west. That actually intensified the forward speed as well as the winds within the storm. So as it moved across the Carolinas, it brought 120 to 130 mile an hour winds near the coast. But as it moved inland at 30 miles an hour, it didn't have time to weaken. Those storm winds did not deteriorate at all as it got close to the Charlotte area. So why such large impacts inland? The first thing that happened, the storm rapidly intensified overnight. It went from a Cat 2 to a Cat 4. It was moving at 30 miles an hour, and it was moving into higher elevation where the winds could not wind down quick enough. Now, could this happen again? In this day and age, modern technology like this Global Hawk drone now can fly into hurricanes for 24 to 48 hours at a time. Back in 1989, we didn't have this technology, so the storms could intensify rapidly with little notice. Now with the drones flying into the storm, these things won't surprise us nearly as much as they could today. So could this happen again? Certainly there could be a storm similar to Hugo, but the surprise factor wouldn't be there because we have better satellite data. We have more frequent hurricane hunter trips, including those drones, modern next-rad Doppler radar, which wasn't installed until after Hurricane Hugo, better and more frequent modeling, and of course, most important of all, lessons from the past like Hurricane Hugo.